Welcome back to my channel. I am sharing with you guys a what we eat in a week video, and so several different meals that I am making this week. Some of them are going to be for lunch and some for dinner. I just try to give a variety of different meals that I'm doing in the week when I make these videos. Obviously this one, since you can see on the clock that it's around 10, this is going to be a lunch meal, and I have some stew meat defrosted in the refrigerator, and so that's what inspired this meal. That's most of the time how I decide what I'm making, is just seeing what I have in the fridge. So my way of meal planning, I've kind of told you guys this before, it's not really full-on meal planning, but rather just, you know, being prepared and having meat in my refrigerator defrosted. And so at the beginning of the week, usually this is on a Sunday night, I will put some meat in my refrigerator, and then throughout the week I kind of decide on what I'm gonna make with those different cuts of meat. And so I've told you guys lots of time that I always get all of my meat from my sister's farm, and we buy it in bulk, and because of that we get lots of the same cuts. And so instead of using, you know, stew to make the traditional stew, I sometimes use it to make different things. And on this particular day, I am making kind of like a beef tips and noodles recipe. And I will be using the stew meat instead of the beef tips. Now while my meat is simmering there on the stove, I'm also getting a batch of sourdough hot dog buns going, and this will actually be for a meal that I'm doing tomorrow. So I'm just getting these ready so that I can get these all mixed up in my bread machine, because you guys know I use my bread machine for my mixer. And then these will ferment overnight, and then I will get back to these tomorrow. I'm getting some water boiling to make some egg noodles that I will be serving with the meat. So for the stew meat, I actually have this recipe on the Cast Iron Skillet Cooking blog, but it was just a mixture of, you know, the onion that I sauteed. I added in the meat, and then I added in some water, and then you could do soy sauce. I did coconut aminos. You could also add some Worcestershire sauce, balsamic vinegar, lots of different spices. I did garlic powder, salt, black pepper, and then I added in some broth and some flour to make a gravy. The flour just kind of thickens it up a little bit, and then I added in the cooked egg noodles to make, you know, a pasta, and this was super good. And like I said, I have the full recipe with all of the ingredients and measurements on the blog, so I will link that for you down below. But this makes a very easy lunch or weeknight dinner. After lunch, I'm getting back to my hot dog buns. They are all mixed up, so I am just putting it into a grease bowl, and we'll cover this with a towel and let this ferment overnight. This is the next day, and I am just cutting the hot dog buns into equal pieces here and going to shape them and allow them to have a second rise. And then I will put a little egg wash on top of these and then bake these. All right, so for this meal, I'm actually making bratwurst. That's what the buns are for. My sister recently got bratwurst, and I was so excited to have those because they are made with all natural good ingredients. And she has original, and then she had some that had pineapple in them. I think some that had apple, and some with cheddar and jalapeno. And so today I have a couple of the original and also some with the pineapple. So I am starting off by boiling the bratwurst. That's just the way my mom always made them, so I just kind of do it the same way. Then after they are boiled and kind of cooked through, then I will pan sear them on the stove to give them a nice brown crispy coating. And then I'm also making some homemade French fries to go with these. So we'll be having bratwurst and fries, and obviously sauerkraut. I think sauerkraut always goes so well with any meal, but especially with bratwurst. I also have a recipe on our cast iron skillet cooking blog for bratwurst if you want cook times and more like specific instructions for those. Bratwurst are such a fun meal to make during the summertime, so I can link that one for you guys down below as well. All right, guys, I'm taking a quick break from cooking in the kitchen to tell you guys about today's video sponsor, Scentbird. Just like any girl, I love smelling pretty, but I have found that traditional perfumes and fragrances that you can find just in the store or online always seem to give me a headache or just kind of make me feel icky. And so I've dabbled in making my own with essential oils, and I'm always getting questions about which brand or which fragrances to try if you are not someone that wants to DIY, and Scentbird is just the place for that. They have a whole clean line of fragrances to choose from that are formulated without all those ingredients that you can't pronounce, like parabens, sulfates, SLS and SLES, phthalates, and formaldehyde releasing agents, just to name a few. So if you go on their website, you can find the clean line and just choose fragrances from there, and it will show you the full list of all of the ingredients that are in them and also the ones that they are sure to stay away from. The two fragrances that I received are obviously both from the clean line, and I love both of them. The first one is the Maison 21G Paris Sleek Sandalwood. I chose this one because I love the scent of sandalwood, and it also has bergamot in it. It has a warm, woody scent, and it is perfect for a special night out or for a girl's night. The second scent I got was the Heretic Voodoo Lily. This one also has sandalwood in it, and it paired beautifully with heady florals and blackcurrant. It has a beautiful smell, and it is perfect for date nights or if you're going to a wedding or some really special event. I love Scentbird because it is affordable and you don't have to commit to a full-size bottle from the get-go. And your first month is only $8, and after that it's less than $17 a month. Their selection is diverse and you have the flexibility to choose before committing. I also love that their packaging is beautiful and small, making it super easy to carry. If you are interested in trying Scentbird, you guys can use my link down in my description box below or scan my QR code here on the screen, and be sure to use my code OOH to get 55% off. Plus you'll get a free delivery straight to your door with a free case. So this is a great way to try the product and get it for just half price at only $8. All right, this next meal I'm making is what I like to call a fast food around here. Now, I just pulled out a whole chicken, so you're probably wondering, how can this be considered fast? Because it takes a long time to make a whole chicken. So let me explain. I don't really mean fast as in it's done really quick, but a very easy prep time meal. So I'm just putting a whole chicken with sweet potatoes in the oven, and a meal like that is something that just does not take very long to put together. So you saw I drizzled my chicken with a little bit of oil, and then I'm sprinkling it with some salt and pepper and thyme, sticking in the oven, and then at the same time, I'm going to grab out some sweet potatoes. These are actually from my aunt, and so there's some really big ones. They're homegrown, and they're starting to get on their last leg. They're still fine, and they last longer when they are unwashed. So these are from her garden from last year, and so definitely time to get these used up. So I am just going to stick those in the oven, and they can bake at the same time as my chicken, and that's about it on prep for this lunch. So this is something that I can do, you know, early in the morning or in the afternoon if it's for dinner. Stick it in the oven and let everything bake, and then just, you know, let this go and go about my day. And then you can see I kind of start pulling sweet potatoes out at different times with all of these different size sweet potatoes. Some get done a lot sooner than others. I just kind of keep an eye on it and pull them out, or else they start, you know, dripping and leaking down at the bottom of my oven. And so I just kind of pull them out as each one gets finished. My favorite way to serve sweet potatoes is just with some butter and cinnamon. And so when they are done, you can see they're very hot, and I'm handling like this. It would obviously make more sense to let them cool a little bit, but I like to get a bunch of butter in there while they're nice and hot so it can melt in there. And sprinkle these with, I guess I shouldn't say sprinkle, put a decent amount of cinnamon on these and mix them up. And my kids just love these. I mean, we all do, but the kids will go back for seconds or thirds, fourths. They will eat all of this. It's just one of their favorite side dishes is sweet potatoes with butter and cinnamon. Alright, for this next meal, I am making salmon and rice pilaf. My family loves salmon, and it's one of those meals for some reason I forget about often. I don't know why. I guess really I do know why. I don't get salmon in bulk from my sister, and so it's one of those things I have to remember to buy from the grocery store, and just oftentimes I forget, but something that they love. So when I remember, we will do salmon. So I just was putting some salt and pepper on those, sticking them in the refrigerator and letting those defrost before I cook them. And while those are defrosting, I'm going to get started on my rice pilaf. For the rice pilaf, I start off by browning my rice in a little bit of butter and then adding in some chicken broth. I'm also adding a little bit of water because I didn't have quite enough chicken broth, but ideally you could use all chicken broth if you had enough. and then some butter, some salt, garlic powder, black pepper, and a little bit of paprika and onion powder. And then while it is cooking, I'm going out and getting some fresh parsley from my herb garden, and I will use that in this to season the dish as well. I'm also getting some lemon pepper broccoli going, and I will put this in the oven while I'm cooking the salmon to roast and to serve with this meal. Now, if you guys want the exact recipe and instructions for the rice pilaf, this one's also on the cooking blog, and so I will link it for you guys down below for all the exact measurements and everything. All right, so for the salmon, I am just giving it a quick rinse and making sure everything's defrosted, and I'm going to sear this quickly in my cast iron skillet with a little bit of butter. The thing about salmon is that it's very quick and easy to make, and you only need to cook it for a couple minutes on each side. So getting that going, and then I will add some lemon and pepper to this, and then I like serving this all together. I love mixing together the rice with the salmon and the broccoli. All the flavors just mingle together so well. All right, on this next day, I am making a Cajun chicken pasta. And so the first thing that I did was get a whole chicken going in my Instant Pot because I'm gonna have some shredded chicken for this. Now, you could use chicken breast or chicken tenders or whatever chicken you have on hand. I just always have whole chickens in my freezer. And so that was the first thing that I had to do, was get that going. And then I'm also gonna make some garlic cheese bread with this. So I'm getting that going as well this morning. You guys can hear the cicadas in the background. Anytime the doors are open, or even if the doors and windows are closed, you can hear them. I'm so curious about how the cicadas are where you live. I know that they're in a lot of different states, but they have been very bad here. My kids have enjoyed them. We've learned a lot about cicadas and they've had a lot of fun with them, but I am definitely excited for when they decide to go back underground. So let me know, are the cicadas really bad where you're at like they are here? Because you guys have probably been hearing them in lots of videos because they are humming and buzzing all day. Anytime I make chicken in my Instant Pot, I'm always sure to save the broth that comes off of the meat when cooking it. So I'm just straining leftover bones and skin and whatever is in there off of that. Then I'll just let that cool for a little while, and then once it's cooled, I will store that in a mason jar. I just love having broth on hand for different recipes. We always end up using it. And then I'm gonna get some noodles going here for my pasta. cutting up a bunch of veggies that will go in the pasta. So green pepper, red pepper, tomatoes, and a red onion. And again, I have all of these recipes that I'm cooking this week, including the cheese bread that I'm making in my Dutch oven, on my blog, and so I will link that down below. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I actually have two different blogs. One is the Our Early House blog that has all of the different like natural DIY things that I make when I'm making like soaps and laundry detergent and skincare, hair care. And I also have a cooking blog with all the different recipes that I share over here on YouTube. So if you guys ever want to see the exact recipes, I'll have my blogs linked in the description box below, and then you can search them on the search bar to find them. But anyway, because I always get lots of questions about where to find the recipes, because I don't always share like the exact measurements here on YouTube, but I find it easier just to link the blog post, and so they are down there for you guys to see if you want that. Now you'll see I'm actually using some broth that I had from a previous chicken in this recipe, and I am making up my sauce here with some broth and some red wine, and then cream from milk. I love adding cream in and having like a creamy sauce, and so that is what I am making here, is the sauce for my pasta. And then over in the cast iron skillet, you see all of my vegetables are all sauteed and seasoned up. I have my chicken shredded, and so I'll just have to get everything all cooked and mixed together. I did add in some Cajun seasoning, and I didn't do as much as, you know, I probably would add if I didn't have little children that, you know, some of them don't like everything spicy. And so I do a smaller amount of that, but then you can always add more to your own individual plate if you like it a little bit spicier. While my chicken pasta is simmering all together, I'm going to work on my bread, and I'm planning on serving this with the pasta. So I have my dough already, and because I'm making this into a cheese bread, I'm going to shred some cheese and just kind of fold it in to the dough, and then put this into a preheated Dutch oven and bake it. And that will be a really delicious side dish with our pasta. Decided to add a little bit of the leftover cheese that I didn't need for my bread to my pasta and melt that in, and it was so delicious. This was a very good meal, and it was enough for 2 meals actually, which is always a win. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this gave you some yummy meal inspiration. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. I get out a new video every single week.